Shalom, this is iThoughty from iThoughty.com. Let's talk about the sun. Let's talk about the cycle of the sun. I have a very important topic concerning the equinox. First of all, have you heard of the equilux? The equilux is a day that is equal to the night. Essentially, this is when a daytime hour is the same length as a nighttime hour. For example, if the daytime it has 12 hours of daylight and the nighttime has 12 hours of nighttime, which is no light, then that would be an equinox. We are told, or we are, you know, it's kind of indicated that during the equinox is a day that is equal to the night. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not true, but I want to explain it. I want to explain it because there's some truth in it, and let me explain it. So there'll be a link in the description to a post, and I am doing audio for that post right now. So I am reading on my website, but I am reviewing the information with you. I'll probably add more words. I am literally adding more words than what is on the website. So I spoke about how to calculate the calendar according to Enoch in a particular post, which I made into a podcast and it's already recorded. It's on my website. I'll put a link in that video. I'll put the link in the description, and I also plan on doing a video for that one, how to calculate the calendar according to what I wrote in my book, Cycle of the Sun. But this post is going to talk about the equinox versus the equinox. I basically explained how to calculate the Enoch calendar with putting into consideration the two miracles that change time. If you have not heard about that, you can click on the link above because I plan on making a video about that. Or you can see the link in the description of a post that I did concerning that in a previous podcast. So I am promoting my book, Cycle of the Sun. I'm talking about it a lot because we are approaching the new year. That we're approaching the new year, which is springtime, and this topic is very important. And I have some information that I didn't clarify so much in the book that I want to talk about, and that is the equinox. So the day that equals night is said to be during the equinox, but it's a little bit deceptive because while they say it's on average that the whole earth will experience somewhat close to a day that is equal to the night, that is not entirely true. Okay. And it's possible that that actually occurred in the days of Enoch, and it's not occurring now because of the extra days that were added. Okay, read my book, cycleofthesun.com, to understand what I'm talking about, because Enoch spoke of a year that had 364 days in it, but we don't experience that. We experience some years, 366 days. That's because there were two miracles that was added, and we could read about those miracles in the Bible. Joshua chapter 10 and Isaiah 38 speaks about it. I clarify the book of Enoch in my book, Cycle of the Sun, and I also speak about those two events and how it affected the sun and why that changes time and why that affected the Shabbat. There's a whole debate about when the Sabbath is. Many people doing lunar Sabbaths because the 28-day cycle divides evenly into 7. I can understand that, but I don't agree with that because that is actually a pagan belief, trying to track the time according to the moon. That's pagan. Although you can track time according to the moon if it was as in the days of Enoch. That's let me just digress. Get back into the topic at hand. So that is the topic of my book. And so during the days of Joshua chapter 10 and Hezekiah, time changed. And this time added one whole day, 0.2422 days into the calendar on average year. This is why I wrote the book, and some may be persistent to calculate the calendar by the literal day that is equal to the night. And so this is where you're going to come off. If you try to track the day that is equal to the night in your location, you're going to get different numbers. And that would be following the book of Enoch, but during Enoch, time did change. And the reason I'm talking about this calendar is because you can track the Shabbat perfectly in Enoch's calendar when the added days added, with the added days added, you cannot. So If we were in the days of Enoch, you could track the Sabbath very easily, and perhaps time was it reflected that. Maybe everywhere experienced a perfect day that is equal to the night, but we are experiencing um, an off bit when it's during the equinox, and I want to explain that. So 364 days divides evenly into 7. This means that the last day of the year during Enoch's time was the Shabbat day, and 52 weeks in the year, which is 52 Shabbat cycles every year. No one debated about the seventh-day Shabbat. I can say that with certainty. So a year that has 364 days divides even into Shabbat. What you debating about? When is the Shabbat? Well, logically, it would be every 7 days because the year has 364 days. End of debate. What you got to say? You got nothing to say. You pretty much are not worrying about it. But we are not living in the days of Enoch. We are all about the debate because we're not putting into consideration the miracle of Joshua when he told the sun to stand still for 24 hours. Yah allowed it, and the sun stood still. The days of Hezekiah, he was about to die. Yah said, "I'll show you a sign." Yah turned back time, added a little bit extra days. The 0.2422 days that we witnessing comes from that. So these two events has people debating about the Shabbat. Now we're talking about the moon dictating the days because we're told that the Israelites follow the moon. That's a lie. We did not follow the moon. They basically have our books, and the book of Enoch is not part of your Bible. You have to read outside of that to get that information because they got our books, okay? But the book of Enoch says that there are 364 days, and Enoch says you will be in sin according to keep calculating the feast days and the Shabbats, if you don't follow that the year has 364 days. And I agree with Enoch. So let's look at the confusion using the Equilux instead of the equinox as a way to track the sun in our day. So looking at the equilux according to occurs on different days. For example, let's just start with at the equator. At the equator, it's typically a normal day is equal to the night at the equator. Okay. And then if you go 5 degrees north, the equilux, the day that is equal to night, happens on February 24th. It also happens on October 17th. That's really earlier than the equinox. And if you go, people living on 10 degrees north, I believe was that latitude or longitude, 10 degrees north, the equilux happens on March 8th. Let's go further. If you go 15 degrees north, the equilux happens on March 12th. So the equinox is said to happen on March 20, but March 20, nobody in the north is experiencing a day that is equal to the night, except for the North Pole. Interesting. During March 20th, you can actually feel and see and be certain that the equinox is happening because it's happening in the North Pole. I believe the North Pole is the true sign of the equinox. You don't even have to go